Hello, Codians, and welcome back to the second episode of Code's Corner. I am sorry for the wait and the distance in between episodes. Unfortunately, that's the way these videos are going to work. You see, kind of on purpose. I want to make these videos spread out enough so that there is still progress made beyond, if you will. Well, there's still progress made on the game. It is, of course, Quest for the Core is very much in early alpha, although it is still fully functional in every way, shape, and form. It is still under development. We're still changing things all the time. And so I want to make these videos also to add as updates so we can progress and see how everything changes and is made far more complex than it necessarily needs to be. Let's see. Updates. Besides some updates to the idea of a character sheet and such, which of course is very much fluid, and the way that it is written is very simplistic, very plain. The attribute system has changed a little bit, but not too much. The biggest changes will be that total health and therefore armor has been added to the stats section of the character sheet, so you can view all of those things whenever you want, without having to go looking through one of your trait lists and stuff like that. Yeah, so I guess I could use that to segue into how armor works. So armor, part of my sniffling is in the middle of allergy season, as you all know, and I have year-round allergies. Great. Bugger me. I apologize. So, armor in Quest for the Core, yes, that's what we're talking about. So, armor effectively works as a limit of hit points. Now, armor is worn on a character's body, whether it be NPC or PC, it does not matter. And it is effectively a number added to a character's health that can be removed if they ever take said armor off or it is destroyed. Armor is destroyed when enough damage is done to said player character that effectively burns through, say, the average is 50 points of armor. So if a character has 50 points of armor and they get shot by a random mook henchman for 50 damage, that means their armor is destroyed and they will not regenerate back up to that number because you can't regenerate Kevlar vests, unfortunately. So what this does is effectively it's just cheap health for hire, for lack of a better term. It basically lets you add armor onto your health onto your character without having to spend a level up point. Armor can also be destroyed immediately through the application of skills and abilities on the part of characters. That's an option. But that will also, of course, lead me into, what did I just say? Shoot, I forgot it. Bugger me, my train has stopped at the wrong station today. Regeneration, sure, I can go with that. Regeneration, of course, you can't regenerate Kevlar vests or anything, so there's that. You can buy, because depending on how much money the player character wants to spend on the armor and the armor versus available, that's determined by the GM, of course, or the battle boss. Depends on how much health can be added. Yes, leveling system. I apologize for my disorganization. Leveling up is determined by the battle boss. Whenever they say that the characters deserve it. Usually after boss fights or big battles, or they complete a mission or a quest or something like that, you know. There is no set XP number or experience leveling system, although that, of course, can become a thing if people want it. Of course, this system's only meant for long-running campaigns, like the K2 Paranormal campaign. that's up on our channel as well, so check that out if you haven't already. Yes, leveling up can do a number of things. It can add traits. It can add positive traits. It can be used to get rid of negative traits. It can be used to add abilities, change them, lessen cooldowns, add +1 to any of the character's stat attributes. Which there's also a new one, which we really can't add to necessarily, but that's okay. There's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10 stat numbers, including total health. So there's 9, realistically. And it goes strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, luck, sanity, and now attractiveness, which has an effect on charisma and the opinions of NPCs towards PCs and vice versa. Because, let's be honest, if you were to have your players walk up to an NPC that looked like the devil beat him with the ugly stick, they would obviously be far more hostile towards that character. The same should be said for NPCs, so it attract that and make it easier for everybody out there that wants to run their own campaign with the K, because we're codeing over here. We just added an attractiveness number. Again, still ranging from 1 to 10. Let's see. Yeah, so obviously 1 is ugly as the Dickens and K2 People of Stone, and 10 is the visage of Jesus Christ himself. So, of course, that I believe that affects charisma. It adds to your charisma checks with characters and stuff like that. And just as a charisma, people with low charisma that still look pretty can still pass charisma checks just because they look good. That's what we're going for. Also, attractiveness can be affected by clothing. Yeah, that's right. If you dress like you're $1,000,000 and you walk into a fancy person's club, obviously they're going to treat you better than if you were to walk into a rich person's club looking like a homeless person. So, attractiveness is not really a stable thing. New pluses and minuses are added all the time. Armor does, of course, take away from attractiveness because, you can be wearing a $1 billion suit and a Rolex with Gucci glasses and such, but if you're wearing a Kevlar vest, Juggernaut helmet, and carrying an M249, people aren't gonna quite like you nearly as much as they did with the suit on, and this nice slick back hair. So, yes, leveling up, UI changes. What else is really? Yes, okay. We here at Kode Enterprises have been, of course, playtest this all the time, almost every week, every couple of them, because scheduling is a whore. That being said, there is a lot of playtime going into this testing, and we figured out pretty early on with the testing of. Hold on. I don't have him here. Son of a whore. Okay. So the Imperator, the character, not my partner, is almost entirely melee based. He has like 4 melee weapons and mech suit. He has all these cool abilities. And we found out that the melee was very lackluster, very plain, very boring. So we decided to totally overhaul. We also overhauled how races work. This is a discussion for another day, because races in Quest for the Core play a very, very important role in the relative strength, appearance, abilities, such of characters, NPCs, PCs alike. So that means that we're going to totally ignore the 2 stronger non-human races in the main campaign, the K0 campaign, as in Marcus and all of them. This is because races are a big old bite to handle, so that'll be taken at a later date. But basically, we modified melee, totally overhauled it. We made melee weapons do way more damage than before. Damage is, of course, done on a certain number of D100s. We did, however, alter how much damage characters do with their bare hands. This is very I won't say very important, but it's still an important part because it means that we can have characters that are fighters who just walk around with hand wraps on their knuckles, breaking the noses of anybody that looks at them wrong. So this leads me to basically the biggest change, of course, with humans. We have nerfed. There's three main races in the main universe. There's far more in the paranormal campaign. But for the K0, the Marcus campaign with all of them in space and such, the main universe, K0, humans are very weak, and that's the kind of their point. That's their job. That's why they exist. They exist to be bad. We did alter their melee damage. We did the exact same thing in K2 as well. So both the paranormal campaign and the K0 campaign, you will notice a difference in how melee with hands, as in just your fisticuffs, is done. Humans went from doing 1d100 damage, which could kill a mook enemy with 50 health more than easily in one shot. And that's goddamn ridiculous because both the Imperator and I are professional martial artists, and we are more than aware of the fact that it takes more than one punch to kill somebody if you're a normal human being. If you're coated in high blood, you can punch through concrete with like butter. Obviously, different story. Humans, they do 1d4 times 10. Now, to balance this debuff, is maximum drop in damage potential, which will depress anybody that wants to play as a weak character because they're now garbage. To make up for this, all humans can dodge attacks with an agility check. This dodge totally negates the damage the attack was going to do. So basically, an enemy targets a human player character. Say they shoot a gun. Okay, they shoot a gun at your PC. It hits it. Well, it would have hit them. The NPC passes their perception check. It's a hit. Before they roll damage, the human character can dodge. There is no cooldown on this to balance out with everything else and their horrible average stats and such. So there's no cooldown. You can do it as many times per turn as you like. And yes, agility is quite heavily used. Agility and charisma are the intelligence are the three most commonly used human stats. Human characters are not necessarily meant for too much combat. They're not meant to fight a mech warrior or like a colossus giant big as mountains and such. They're not meant to fight those kind of things. They're meant to, blend into human crowds, not get discriminated against, etc. So they aren't meant for too much combat. They have the least amount of health. They've got, relatively the lowest stats, at least when it comes to strength and perception. Yes, agility checks to bounce everything out. Codes and encoded high bloods do 1d100 since they are far stronger than a normal human being and can punch through concrete like butter. So, obviously, going to be able to put their fists well through somebody's chest with absolutely no issue. If you, when my books come out, you'll see that happens multiple times. Yes, because the Imperator, we wanted to change how he worked, so we changed melee. We also modified how rolling melee attacks works. This is important now. So, you make a melee roll. Well, you don't, because melee is a guaranteed hit. Now, making a melee attack requires a d6 roll. That d6 roll corresponds to a body part. 6 being the head, I believe 5 being the body, 4 and 3 being arms, 2 and 1 being legs. Working from the top down, of course, as the body and the numbers do. So this is, of course, because, if you're carrying a massive battle axe and you're swinging it wildly in close quarters, you're probably not going to hit what you want to. Again, as a martial artist, I can say hitting on target consistently is very, very difficult in a truly fluid situation where you're not fighting a dummy. This same goes for certain ranged weapons. If the character wants to aim for a specific body part, as in if you as the battle boss make an enemy that is susceptible or weak on like glowing sores on their body or something, and it's on certain body parts, then this will be used for every attack against an enemy type because it provides a buff or debuff to the NPC/PC's damage accordingly. So obviously that's important for ranged and melee combat in that case. However, it is always used now for melee of all kinds, with your fists, without your fists, and some ranged combat. By some ranged combat, I mean if a player feels like it, or if the battle boss, if the battle boss, for plot reasons or whatever, is looking for a specific body part to get hit, so if, say, the guy that they're shooting at is wearing a collar that makes their head change its appearance, and they shoot them in the head, it'll disrupt the hologram, and they can see the true identity of the NPC running away from them or whatever. Then they'll make them roll for range attacks to know if they hit him in the head. Headshots, a 6 on a d6 roll for melee or ranged, does do double damage now as well, because that's important. We actually forgot about that originally, and as soon as we started playing a game with these new melee rules, figured out this is dumb. Why don't headshots do more damage than getting somebody in the leg? That makes no sense. If you're wondering, no, there is not separate health for each limb or body part. That's really complex and makes no sense, because you can die just as easily from being stabbed in the leg as you could stabbed in the jugular. So shush yourselves thinking that you're an enemy. Trust me, I've been hit before. It's not pleasant. No matter where you get punched, it doesn't matter. It's not going to sting, okay? What else is there? What other changes? Yeah, I reckon this is... Oh, yes, the modification to ranged weaponry. Now, if you're a player watching this, you're not going to like this part. If you're a battle boss liking this, you probably will like this part. Specifically in the main campaign, however, in K1 and K2, respectively, a similar buff has been done. Ranged weaponry now does a ton more damage. Railguns in K0, specifically, because it makes no sense for comparison. Okay, let's comparison. Railguns exist in 2018 currently. They are mounted on naval ships and fire at speeds incapable of anything else, almost, I believe, any conventional warfare or conventional weapon. They tear ships apart in one shot, whereas they can take hundreds, if not thousands, of normal shots to take out a bigger ship. So obviously, railguns are pretty damn powerful. Put one of those things into your palm of your hand there's a pretty good chance that it's going to murder and blow apart whatever it hits, regardless if it's human, coated or coated in high blood. So we really added a ton of damage to the railguns. However, K1 and K2 weaponry firearms were taken into account, and of course were made to do far more damage than before. However, to compensate for this, because now almost the K0 campaign, characters are supposed to be tanky as hell and can, get shot with a tank shell and brush it off like it's nobody's business, because that's what the characters are like in the books, in the novels, and the stop motions, etc., etc., etc. That's their built, that's the characters, that's themselves, that's what they do. K1 and K2, however, characters can now get one shot by just about anything. If it has a handgun, it can kill most PCs. The average health of a human PC in K2 or K0 or K1 is a 150 health max. They don't regenerate either, which makes them an even bigger disadvantage in a fight than normal. So even if they can dodge every attack, almost every other attack, they're still going to die in 2 rounds because they're really, really weak. So now the players can also be killed in one shot just as easily as NPCs can be killed in one shot. It only makes sense that we buffed health and how armor works, which is why the addition of, well, armor has always been around, but to add on to it, we made the number changeable and changeable, non-regenerating, again, purchasable in game. So even if it's a one-shot campaign, if your characters feel like going to the local gun shop and purchasing a full body armor, like a bomb squad vest, they can do that. Pardon. They can do that. That's fine. Of course, if the battle boss allows them to, but that's a different story. That's up to them. Or up to you, depending on the person listening. So we also did buff health mainly in K0. This is to be taken into account for people wanting to play in the K0 universe or anything, or any universe similar. If in this universe you are wishing to play, in my case, for my example, K0, if the characters in the lore can take these big guns to the face and be fine, make the character, the PC's health, if they choose to play as that race, to match the lore of the universe. This is why the K0 Mook enemies have 50 health and the K2 and K1 have 100 or more. Because K0 in the books and such, Marcus would very, very easily be able to dispatch armies of human people with absolutely no issue whatsoever and barely break a sweat. If that. So, once you get that in mind, battle bosses, balance your enemies, okay? This is just a general tip. Since we don't have templates for many things, many enemies, because of course it depends on the universe you're playing in, you need to balance out your enemies just as well as you balance out your players. Treat your enemy types as players. Make character sheets for them. Give them actual stats and stuff. I recommend this highly. It makes the... again, the Mook enemies have 5 all around for their 9 stats, 50 health, without any armor. This can all be changed, because if a battle boss wants to make an enemy that is like an animal or a non-human, then they have to change the other 9 stats and make them bigger or smaller than the average 5, depending. NPCs, enemies, this goes for everybody. Creatures, monsters, anything and everything that if it can attack your players and is a living being. Not even because we have robots. That's another addition. Robots are a thing now. Mainly in K0, robots are a thing. They have an ass load of health, a ton of strength, a lot of perception. They have a ton of endurance. Not too smart. They're not very agile. They have shitty luck, and they can't talk really well because, let's just say there's some bad blood in the K0 universe between people and robots. They also have decent sanity, depending, of course, because robots are bad, but cyborgs are not. Robots also do tons of damage with their bare hands because the difference between punching somebody with your bare knuckles and punching somebody with a couple 100 pounds of steel and titanium going to be a big difference. One's punching them in the face, one is beating them with a lamppost. So, difference in damage there as well. A very, very significant difference in damage, might I add. I believe 1 or more D100 damage for those basic melee attacks, which is decent compared to a human. Again, back on track, I apologize. So, where was I? I've forgotten, to be honest. Let's see. What else is there? Oh, yes. Players being killed easily. Balance your enemies out, battle bosses. Come on, don't, okay. This is where communication between battle boss / GM and player being very, very important. If you know the players you're going to be telling this story for are all human and have horrible health, don't make them fight enemies that have 2,000 health, do just as much damage with their basic attack, and, regenerate 100 health a turn. That's ridiculous and unnecessary. either you're an asshole. Let's be honest. Let's see. What other changes have there been? Ah, yes. The addition of night vision and such. This was not originally a problem, since most of our testing was done in the K0 universe, playing as Kode and Highbloods, who again can punch through concrete like it's butter, and leap small buildings, and are just as fast as computers when it comes to thinking. So obviously, they have far higher limits and standards than humans. This has caused us to oversee some things, including the issue of sight. Kode Highbloods and Codians naturally have very, very good eyesight. So we weren't too worried about testing games in dead of night without our characters ever having night vision goggles or anything, because they aren't really necessary. However, for games like K2 or K1, or even human characters in K0, seeing in the dark is a big problem. That being said, people with dark vision or night vision, which can be either a trait or an item the battle boss gives them, depending on what the players want in the beginning of the game and what the battle boss provides for them later on. Basically means they don't suffer the -1 penalty. The -1 penalty for characters in the dark is a -1 to literally every check they make, including charisma and intelligence. Now, it works for charisma because obviously human psychology, if you study that, human psychology works depending on the body language of the person you're speaking to or speaking with. Can't see them in the dark. They could hide all sorts of stuff from you, and you have no idea. They could put a gun to your forehead, a couple of inches away from it. You'd have no idea until lights come on, and also there's a bullet through your chest. Just how it works. And obviously, intelligence, because you can't see anything to be smart with. Because if you're trying to read a book, use a library, operate a computer, although computers are kind of different, I admit, hack something or make something, it's going to be a hell of a lot harder when it's pitch black, because you might have some blind sight when it comes to seeing your hands in the dark. You cannot see wiring or anything of the sort when you can't, see yourself when you look down. So that's also addressed, as well as the final topic for today. When it comes to changes, I know we haven't discussed too many things new today, but I apologize. It's been a long time, like a month or two since I made the last one of these, so I felt it necessary to go over some changes so everybody knows how things have changed, how things have worked. In the new K2 campaign, because it all changes all the time. We're always fixing things, making new rules, adding them, get rid of old ones. The last topic for today, well, I apologize, I'm fixing my chair. As I said before, division of status effects. Now, the basic ones were in the game all the time: bleeding, poison, etc. I'm talking about here, pardon again, I'm talking about specifically hunger, thirst, sleep deprivation, and drunkenness. They are all key ingredients to screw with players, the battle boss, with players playing usually human characters or operating under a universe system similar to K1 or K2. Shut up, dog. All right, thank you. Now, most of these won't apply to K0 because Codians and Highbloods have to eat far less, require far less oxygen, can almost never are able to get drunk because their metabolism is that good, like Captain America. They would die before they could get drunk. So it just, and they require almost no sleep at all. So K0, again, playing as these characters for so long, made us overlook these things. Now that we're getting into K2, for the series, go watch it, it's good. It's pretty funny. We have figured out that it needs to be a thing. Because, for example, Boston Brook is a day drinker. He's borderline alcoholic. So him being drunk all the time means that it's going to be an issue. Obviously, he shouldn't be operating at normal capacity when he is nigh blackout drunk. Same goes for sleep deprivation, and if you're okay, if you've ever been really really hungry, which I assume most people have been, or really really thirsty, all you can think about are those things. They most definitely, you can say all you want that being hungry, thirsty, tired, or drunk makes you, like, does not affect you at all, or does not affect you in a meaningful way worthy of debuffing the nine big stats, as in like strength, perception, etc. You're wrong. Okay, just plain that you're wrong. Obviously, if you are starving to death, you're going to be far weaker than you would be normally. If you're drunk, you can't see for crap, but you're stronger than usual. That sort of thing. So these types of effects have a bunch of debuffs added to them. Um, what's the word? Intoxication is the only one of these effects that actually give a buff. They buff strength and luck, I believe, and charisma, I think. But they lower perception and intelligence by an ass load, and agility by an ass load, because it makes no sense that a sniper, shit-faced drunk, can still hit a guy 30 miles away with a pistol. That's not going to happen. But so like hunger and stuff, they all affect your stats purely negatively. There are no positives to starving yourself. Okay, they made that clear to your players. Okay, they're not going to get anything beneficial out of starving themselves, or not drinking, or not sleeping. They all make you, like, I think they all make you dumber, weaker. Like your perception goes down as well. So it all affects mostly the combat stats. Well, of course, if you're inebriated and so tired you'll walk like a zombie, obviously your charisma and attractiveness are going to take a hit as well. So that being said, that wraps up the final topic for this video. If you have any questions whatsoever, I implore you to ask your questions away in the comments below. Yeah. So if you have any questions, have any topics you would like to see discussed, any issues you feel could be addressed, leave it down in the comments below. I do apologize before I finally sign off. This is uploaded Sunday, May 7th. No, 6th. Sunday, May 6th, 2018. It was scheduled for a third K2 episode to come out. Unfortunately, due to scheduling issues, the party could not arrive here at Code's Corner for recording. So, I mean, all that means is that I have more time to prep for them, and I have more time to hurt them in more ways than they can imagine. So it's just a matter of time. However, if you've watched those, I have settled several things with them. I've gotten them more under control and such, and I've told them how things need to run and such. So, hopefully, the third episode will be of higher quality than the past two, although they're still pretty good, so you can check them out anyway. Or rewatch them, or tell a friend, or family, or loved one, or dog, or if it's alive, tell it. So yes, this is going up on the day the third episode was scheduled for because of scheduling issues. I apologize. I felt I needed to make a video like this anyway, because simply just to explain the rules of the K2 campaign and just level the playing field a little bit to make people understand how things are working. If anything changes in between episodes again, another one of these videos will be made to explain everything, and then it'll probably be re-explained in the video itself, the episode itself, just because I'll forget that I mentioned it earlier. So thank you all for watching this wonderful video. I appreciate your support, your presence here. I hope Quest for the Core becomes a family name, and your friends and such find great enjoyment in playing off the many adventures of your characters, whether they use the templated ones or not. It's up to you. So yes, I hope you all enjoy your time playing Quest for the Core. And I will see you all in the next episode of Code's Corner. Have a wonderful, wonderful time.